Hi everyone, guys. So in my previous video I showed you guys how I automated the partner registration for our system with this particular workflow whereby partner gets registered. But actually getting the partner registered is only the beginning of what we are trying to build. The next problem is making sure that they get onboarded and register their first deal, and also the assigned deal don't get stuck in any way or another. So here is the second workflow of what we are doing. So basically, once a partner becomes active, the team shouldn't have to manually chase all the leads or any of the partner. The team does not have to chase them to register their first deal. So I built an onboarding nurture workflow in HubSpot. So basically, once the partner becomes active, it automatically sends the right follow-ups and checks whether they have registered a deal. Now, if they haven't registered a deal after 14 days, the HubSpot is going to create a task for the partner manager to step in. So here is the workflow that does that. Here is the workflow that registers the deal. So I'm going to show us the onboarding nurture workflow on HubSpot. So basically the routine, this particular steps is a routine follow-up, is automated, while human attention is only needed when the partner isn't progressing. So now we have, this is the PR registration, like I mentioned. So now when a partner registers a deal, we need to make sure that the registration is valid and that another partner hasn't registered the same prospect. So here is what this PRM2 does. So PRM2 checks the registration, it identifies the partner, it checks the existing registration to see if there is no registration of that particular deal, and decides whether to approve, to review, or to reject. And these are the parts where it approves, where it decides that. So here is checking the exclusivity of the check. Then we have our code node which decides the exclusivity, and then we have our switch statement that decides if it's approve, reject, or review. And based on that, it's going to create a deal, insert the registration, email registration approval, and then send a message to the Slack. Now, this particular process is just to prevent duplicate registration and making sure that valid deals get into the CRM correctly. And then we also have our other workflow, which is the SLA enforcer. Basically what does it does is, when something, let's say if a partner receives a deal and does not act on it, so we are giving them a maximum of 48 hours to act on the deal that was registered. So if the SLA was missed and the partner was not able to act on the deal, it automatically finds another partner. So it finds the eligible partner and resigns the deal and alerts the team. So here is where we have this, where it picks the next eligibility partner. So here we have eligible partner, search for the eligible partner, it assigned, check the assignment history, it picks the next partner and it marks it as reassigned, then it marks the new assignment, and then it sends a Slack message. So basically what this is doing is that deals does not get stuck with an unresponsive partner, and the team does not have to manually monitor every assignment. So basically this is how this workflow works, and this is our onboarding nurture, which is the HS2, is to check any active partner, any partner that is active, and is going to execute them once they are active to start the onboarding nurture for that particular partner. So here is this workflow here. It checks if a partner status is active. Once it's active, we give them a grace of 2 days, which is a delay of 2 days. And then after the 2 days, we send a description of how to register their first deal, internal email notification. And after that, we wait for 5 days. And after that, now, once we've waited for 5 days again, we are going to check if that particular partner has registered a deal. If they have registered a deal, we just send a congratulation message that what nice work on their first registration. And if not, we are checking what we are giving them a 7 days, making a total of what? Making a total of 14 days. So after giving them a delay of 7 days, we are saying what? We check the deal registered again to know if they are registered a deal. If the deal is greater than 0, then we end that workflow. And if not, which is the non-met, we create a task and we assign that particular task to the partner manager to check in with them to actually see what is happening. So here is more of how this workflow works, and it's not just sending multiple emails or doing all those stuff. It's more of interacting based on human behavior and then adding human intervention when it is necessary. So basically this is how this workflow works, and I'm going to show us how we are going to test that. So first of all, let's go to our HubSpot. So I want to delete this particular that I added before. So I'm going to delete that and we test again. So I'm going to delete. So I've deleted that. We'll go to the deals to see if there are deals. So let's go to the company. I'm going to go to the company and delete that. And so I'm going to delete that. So just want to have a clean data and we move from there. So I'm going to remove this as well. Sorry for that, I should have removed that. So now that we have cleaned this data, so I will go to my first workflow. So here I've pinned data that is coming from n8n form trigger. So here you can see we have the company name, we have your name, so we have the email. So these are the details that we show on the form whereby the user is going to fill the form. So I've filled the form, I give it as well, the name, the email, the partner type, the website, and why do you want to partner, the submitted date, and what's the form mode, so which is the text mode we are actually testing. So this is the workflow. So I've pinned the data. Now I'm going to execute. So once I execute, let's go and check that. So I'm going to execute this workflow and we see. So here we are able to get our data into the HubSpot system. So we are creating the company and also we are creating the contact associated with the company, and also we are creating a ticket for that company. So now we are checking if the eligibility is completed. So here is true and we are sending a Slack message. So if we go to my Slack message, if you go to the Slack message, you should see the Slack message that says new partner application, the company, and the details. So here we've done that. Now let's go to our HubSpot. So we are going to go to our HubSpot. We're going to refresh this. So we should see the data. So here is the contact that we added, and we should go to the company. Here is the company, Laxpo, and also we should go to the deals. So it does not have a deal yet related to that particular company. So if we check, it does not have a deal. Well, let's go to tickets. We just want to test the workflow 1 before we move to the workflow 2. So here we have our data. So I'm going to approve this and we are going to see how this workflow is going to execute. So once I approve this, we are going to see these company details. We're going to see these company details get executed. So if you check now, we have our partner tier, partner scenes. These details are empty. Why? Because we just fill in the form and we don't want to do anything yet. So once we approve that particular ticket, it's going to auto-populate this data, which is what is called cross-object automation in HubSpot. So we go to our ticket now. So I'm going to approve. So it's under review, so I'm going to approve now. So I'm going to say approve. So once we approve, we should see the data gets populated. So you can see it's populating. You can see it populates. So now we have the data populated here. So you can see how it populated. Now that we've populated it, we should go to, so we've populated the data and now you can see it's activated that partner. So this partner is activated. Now let's go to the problem 2 that we are trying to solve, which is more of, after they've gotten onboarded the partner, we want to be able to follow up with them, get their first deal registered, and being able to know that are they fine and good, and also add the human intervention. So here we have the workflow. So here I turned it off because I don't want it to pick it immediately. So before we do that, so instead of using this 2 days delay for us to test, I'm going to change it to just 1 minute so we can see how it's going to pick that up. So then I'm going to revert it back to the production delay. Now let me go to my delay. I'm going to change this to 1 minute. So I'm going to save, and then I'm going to change this to 1 minute as well. And I'm going to save, and same thing, I'm going to change this to 1 minute. Oh, sorry, 1 minute. Let me go back. I think I put 1 hour. So let me go back. So 1 hour, supposed to be 1 minute. So 1 minute, and then 1 minute. So we've been able to update this so that we can see how this data is going to flow. So I'm going to turn it on. So let's see. It's trying to check which company actually pass this criteria. So it's trying to calculate that for us. So we have 3 companies that actually pass this criteria, but I'm going to say no, only enroll companies who met the enrollment after this workflow is turned on. Because if I turn it on, if I choose this now, immediately I choose this, it's going to enroll the people that the enrollment criteria passed. So I'm going to choose this, and because I want to be the one to test the data myself. So we have the next. So I'm going to go on the next and turn on the workflow. So I'm going to say test. So to test it now, I'm going to pick this Larkspur. This is the data that I added. So once I pick this, so no conflict. So we should get 1 minute delay. So the stats checks is what? No conflicting previous enrollment, and record isn't currently enrolled, and record didn't make which is what? The deal registered is what? So because if we check our data, you can see deal is not registered. So basically they have not registered any deal. So you can go to, so that is why this record did not meet the enrollment criteria. So now let's see. So you can see after it moves here, we are having the delay. You also send an internal email notification, the 1 minute, the deal is registered. Because the deal is not registered, that is why it does not go to this branch, it moves to this branch. Then we delay it for 1 minute again. We also check if the deal is registered. The deal is not registered yet, then we create a tax, and then we assign it to check in and to be able to know what is happening. And so if we go to, so you can see this is when we first do the onboarding call, which is the first part of becoming the partner. And now, so if we go to the company, take the company, the activities, so you can see we have our tax created. So this tax is created for us for the check-in, so that they can be able to know what is actually happening and why they have not registered their first deal. And here we have our calls, here we have our task. So this is the task that was just created, So the tax is due for August 18th. So this is how this flow is going to work, and this is how the onboarding nurture works. So basically we have this to be able to ensure that we keep track of how these partners able to get a deal, and also had the human intervention for them in case they have any issue in onboarding or registering any deals. So here is the workflow for the HubSpot. Now let's go to the register deals. So I'm going to add some data, and so the first data is, let me start this. So I'm going to pick iris.larkspurpeople.com, and then I'm going to aiding system, and then I'm going to say https w.aidsystems.com, and then the estimate value is 54,000 naira. So I'm going to submit this, and we are going to see how it's going to execute. So what does it say? So here we have, so after we've gotten the partner, so here it's got the partner that we registered, and now it's saying what? So we are going to change this part now. So it moves to unknown partner. So I should get an email saying, so it's going to send to this email. And so once we have that, it should. So let me change this to if json.id is not empty. So I'm going to pin this data. So I'm going to redo it again. So it should pass this and not this. So because the total was 0, so we are using total and we don't have anything total here. It's because I changed this node. It was using the HTTP node and I decided to use the HubSpot native n8n node. So let's run it again and we see how it's going to go. So I'm going to run it again. So you can see it passed now. So it's getting the partner company. So once it get the partner company, let's see what's wrong. URL parameter must be string but got undefined. So json.id can. So that is the issue of HTTP, and being able to debug the data gives you another skills of how to resolve any issues. So let's execute it again. So you can see the data comes in now and it gets the partner. So let me just execute it again so we don't have a delay on that. So I'm going to execute this. So good. Now its executivity is what is approved, so that is why it moved to this. So here we are trying to create a deal and there is an issue. So it's saying cannot deserialize objects, not deserialize the value type of objects. So I'm going to resolve this issue. So the issue we are running into here, it says invalid input JSON line 184 cannot deserialize the value of type from object value token. So let's check our JSON value. So let's JSON.stringify, we have deal name, JSON.prospect. So let's see the value, the result here. So here is picking object is not picking the value. And so first of all, let's change this part to use the string literals. I need to do this now. So I'm going to use string literals, and so we do this now. So I'm going to remove the plus, and we have this. We also do this, and then remove this. So it's still coming as objects. So now we should change this to dot value, because inside this data here we are picking partner name, but this is an object. We are supposed to say partner dot value. So once we do that, and let's check again, let's go to the data. We have our partner company ID. We also have, so here we also have another partner name. So here we are supposed to use dot value, so we can be able to resolve that. And let's run it again now to see what is happening, and we should be able to get this sorted now. So I'm going to execute this workflow again. So it's still running. What is the error now? Saying object ID not defined, can't be numeric zeros. So let's go back to the data and see what is coming. So the partner ID is coming as undefined. So let's go, this is where it's getting the data from. We set it to ID, json.id, and it's getting it from this particular node, get company props. So we should go to our company props. So let's see something. ID. So we might not be able to do the ID, but since we have this company ID, yes, let's pick this company ID and we go to our code node, and instead of this json.id, we use json.company.id, and then what is left, let's run it again now and you should see what's going on. So because this is a new error, say object not found, object ID usually numeric, and we are getting undefined on this section of the partner company ID. So I'm going to execute it again. Yes, so now that is the issue, because the partner ID was coming in as undefined. So now we are able to create our deal, and we are going to insert it into the PRM registration database. And so save this. So we have our PRM. So it says what expired on 26th, registered today's date, the deal ID, the active, and if we check our database, the PRM registration, so the data comes in. So this is the data that comes in for the deal registered by the partner, and then we go back to this. So once we do that, we want to send a mail, so we send a mail. So the email got sent, and if I go to my mail, I should get the email. So I got the email, and that is it. So we got the email. This will be resolved. So to resolve this, we actually go to our workflow. What could have happened there? So this is what is actually happening. Change it to expression. So that is why it was unfixed. So it's going to pick it like this. So if I change it to expression, so we are able to get this, and I'm going to re-execute it again. So once I re-execute that, should get a, so now you can see the code is no more there, and so that is the fix. And now we go back and send a message to Slack. So we send a message to Slack that says what deal has been registered. So it's currently running. I think this is going to fail. I need to invite the Slack integration bot. So we should go to our n8n Slack and let's invite. So we have our n8n integration bot. So I'm going to add that, and I should resend it now. So you can see, and you should be able to get the details. It says deals registered, prospect, the partner is coming as object, so it should be the same issue. So it should be partner name dot value, should be partner name dot value. So let's re-execute this, and now see, it was coming as object before, now it's coming as the correct value. So here is how this workflow works. And for this part, so like I said, once a deal is registered, we don't want to, so we are checking if this partner has gone on with the deal to accept and do some other further activities, because we don't want to leave the deals hanging. So if that particular partner does not has anything to do with the deal, we are going to reassign it to the eligible partners, and they are going to work on it. So basically that is what this does. It says what it's going to execute every hours, and it's going to open the assignment, check if there's an assignment that is being between 48 hours, and it's going to do that. So it's going to look through each of the lists and get eligibility partner, get the reassignment history, and pick the next partner available and mark them as reassigned, then set a new assignment, and then send an SLE miss that a particular partner has missed the due deadline that was given to that partner. So that is how this works, and let's execute this and see. So why is because we don't have any list, and that is how this is going to work. So it's going to keep looping through the data and trying to find if any deal has not been accepted by the partner. So basically that is how this flow works. You have from becoming a partner. So once you become a registered partner, we have our HubSpot that is going to activate the partner. Then after it is activated, then we go back to register a deal. So once this deal is registered, we go to, so once you activate this partner on HS1, we move to the HS2, which is the onboarding nurture. It's going to nurture the partner to see how far they have gone in registering their first deal, and also trying to add an human intervention when there is no update on the deal registration by that particular partner. After 14 days, we are going to create a task checking. And once that is done, so here is when you create a deal for that particular partner, or the partner is trying to create a deal. So here is when it's going to create a deal, and we are sending email registration approved and a Slack message. So once that is done, we move to the next phase. So that data now comes in. You'll be able to see the deal inside the deal CRM table. So this is the deal, and it's deal registration. Currently, next activity is the speed to lead. So now we have speed to lead, and what the speed to lead does is what? Speed to lead does is what? Is to, so here is to trigger the next step. So I'm going to explain how this speed to lead is going to work. So the enrollment is when the company ID is done and the deal is registered, if we go to our history, so you can see it automatically picks this up, and now it triggers it. So it's already triggered, which is success, and here it's initiated an internal email notification. So once you email an internal notification, you're also sending in another internal details, which is success. Now we are creating a task and assigning it to the partner manager, and here we have delay of 1 day. So I should have updated it to 1 minute. So this is more like a production delay. So once the 1 day has reached, it's going to check the deal pipeline stage to check if it's still on the deal registration. If it's the deal registration, we are going to send an email notification saying that what this particular deal has not moved from the stage it currently is, so to know what is happening, and then we create a follow-up task for that. So once we create a follow-up task for that, be able to know and assign it to a partner manager, be able to discuss with the human intervention and be able to know what is actually happening. So here is the speed to lead workflow on HubSpot, and it's works as expected, and I hope we understood this workflow. Thank you very much, and kindly like, share, subscribe. And if you like to build any of your automation AI agents, want to work with HubSpot or any CRM, kindly reach out to me on my email, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.